Welcome everybody to the crap show. Wait, I probably shouldn't start it like that, but that's how we're feeling today. It's a new episode of HomeKit Insider. You've got me, Andrew O'Hara, and it has been a fun morning here between me and Steven trying to get this going. And that phone call is the icing on the cake after all of this. Oh.
That phone call is Apple support. I'm just going to let it roll right behind me as I'm talking. That phone call is from Apple support. They're trying to get a hold of Andrew because his Mac Pro doesn't know how to turn on. It doesn't know that it needs to log in. It doesn't know. Are you on the beta on that Mac? Okay, first of all, let's provide a bunch of context for our listeners because they're probably wondering what happens.
Right into this.
Yeah, your audio may or may not be good for this episode. We have faith that it will, but your computer totally pooped out on you as we were trying to record. And what is it doing right now? Is your Mac Pro just still trying to restart?
Yeah, so basically what happened was I just turned in my iPhone 13 Pro and 13 Pro Max review. I turned that in on my Mac Pro. Everything was rolling fine this morning. And then I go to set up our thing for our Skype call and our podcast this morning. And opening up QuickTime to record a video file locally. And it's haha, no. And I got an alert that said, this cannot be completed. This action cannot be completed. I'm like, okay, well, let's unplug the camera. Let's quick time and try again. Do it. Nothing changes. It's still dumpster fire. And I was okay, Steven, don't worry. I know we're in a Skype call and we can at least talk and this would at least be able to record the audio, but I should restart this computer just to be sure. So I restarted it, and then it got back to the login screen, right? And I log in, clickety, and then it's cool, I'm going to stay here now, and then just went 30% of the way and then never moved. And since then, I've tried to force restart it a couple times, and it's still just stuck in this mode. For everyone here, look, this is what we got. Look at that, fella. Look at that. And for further context for people watching on video, this is how I'm talking to Steven over Skype. We're going on an iPad here. And so because I don't have another computer ready to go. And then we're recording the video. Funny enough, I'm trying this out. We'll see how it looks. I'm doing cinematic mode. On my iPhone 13 Pro. So... But I'm using my Rode mics here, and I can't check the settings to make sure they are recording locally. So I could be recording with my Rode mic right now, or you could be getting AirPod audio. So it'll be a surprise. I mean, not a surprise for you guys. You guys can hear it. It'll be a surprise for us.
You know it is.
When we go to edit.
Here's the question, because I'm sure some people will ask. Is your Mac Pro running the Monterey beta?
So it is. It is. I've had issues with the Mac Pro before, though. She's been a fickle machine, and we've talked many times about the issues with this thing, and I don't know what it is. I don't know what's going on. This is new, and to be honest, I'm not sure what I'm going to try after this.
I think your Mac Pro can feel the M1 processors slowly encroaching across Apple's devices, and it just can't take it. Just can't take the pressure. It's just folding.
It just knows there's an M2X module looming.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's fun. I mean, Apple's software, maybe we'll talk about it in a second, but their software kind of across the line has been a little buggy, even on the 13 and well, anyway, we'll talk about all that. So listeners, or viewers, however you're consuming this show, either maybe it looks great and sounds great, or otherwise we apologize because we have no idea.
Yeah, maybe this is the best produced show we do. Maybe cinematic mode just looks super crisp, better than my webcam, and my mic records, and just everything is lit today. Or it's literally lit and it's a dumpster fire. It's one of the two.
Either lit or fire, dumpster fire. Yes.
Absolutely.
I like it.
Yeah, but I say not fire because that means good.
Right. Listen, just a really short rabbit trail. The words that mean cool and not cool in today's lingo, I'm still trying to catch up. Because if something's bomb, I guess that's good, right?
Yes.
Someone says that's bomb. Now, back when I was a teenager, something was da bomb, but that's not cool. You can't say da bomb. It's just bomb.
And then you sound old.
I know, which none of it is grammatically correct. So anyway,
When has slang lingo ever been grammatically correct? Wow,
fair enough.
way to
Fair enough.
sound cool. Fellow kids,
So cool.
I like our slang, but it's not grammatically correct. So we should really change it to the bomb. How about that,
The
guys?
bomb.
Everyone left me. Okay.
Also, since our last episode when I asked listeners to tell me if I have a southern accent, it was pretty unanimous. People said I did. And
Of course.
no thank you to any of you. No one came to my aid. So I'm trying to find loops of Brooklyn accents on YouTube and just listening to that 24/7. And so I'm practicing coffee, Mario, that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm just kidding. I'm not really doing that, but I thought about it. All right. Well, let's actually talk about some news and what's going on. First of all, Home Plus has been updated to 5.2. If you don't know Home Plus, it is an awesome HomeKit app by the developer Matthias Hochgeter. I don't know if we've ever pronounced his name correctly, which I apologize.
You just sneezed for the last name.
Matthias. And that's Andrew, not me. So Matthias, he's got Home Plus 5.2. He updated the app with new icons and device icons inside the app. If you have not used Home Plus, it's a great app, kind of another third-party alternative for managing your devices, gives you some more customization options. So we always recommend. We'll put a link to the show notes to Home Plus 5.2. And then IKEA has announced or began shipping their Symfonisk lamp. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. They have their Symfonisk like wall-mounted speaker that looks like a piece of art, but it's actually like a Sonos speaker behind it. And now they also have their lamp with the multiple shades, and you can get either a glass shade or a fabric shade. It will be available for purchase starting on October 12th at IKEA stores in the United States and in some markets in Europe. And it's $140 for the base, and then depending on what you want, glass or fabric shade, it's another $39 or $29 respectively. So if you want to get a speaker that looks like a lamp, you can now do that with the IKEA one. Do you have one of these, or do you think you'd be getting one of these?
Not yet. I'll probably end up getting one to review because I tend to review all of the HomeKit stuff that we can find. So I've still got the Symphonisk picture frame that I haven't fully written up yet. But right. I'll be checking this out. I still have the original one, and it just didn't match the style in our house. And I think this one's a little more accommodating. I think they realized like kind of the issues there. And I'm also interested to actually play with it to know with certainty like what smart bulbs can be put into this, because with the original one you could not even like really use a smart bulb because it was an enclosed space and had to be able to fit in the inside. So while you could put a Hue bulb in there, technically shouldn't have, because it was a confined space with no venting and could be bad for your bulb overheating and stuff like that. So I'm interested to see if I'll actually be able to put a smart bulb in this to go along with my AirPlay 2 connectivity.
Gotcha. Very cool. Well, since our last recording, we now have all the new Apple devices in hand. I got my iPhone 13 Pro in Sierra Blue, an iPad Mini, and my wife got the iPhone 13, the regular model. She got the blue one of that as well. And do you have all the things, Andrew? You got the minis all the way through the Pro Max?
Sure do.
Well, you got reviews going up of all the phones, and then I got to review the iPad Mini going up. But I thought it would be interesting. One, I want to get your thoughts on ProMotion, and then two, kind of the dumpster fire that Apple has had of software amongst these different devices, which, I don't know, I've run into a lot of problems. But, I think one of the biggest noticeable differences, camera improvements for sure on the iPhone 13s, but have you felt a difference with that ProMotion display using it day to day?
Day to day, not really. To me, I've talked about this like anecdote like before when it was like with TV stuff. And one of my really good friends in college, she kept telling me like, I don't see any point in like the HD, like switching to HD thing. And she was rewatching like these seasons, and she was like renting them, like pretty sure like on disc from like Netflix or something, right? And at one point they were out of the DVDs, so she had to get the Blu-ray version. So she had the Blu-ray version for like this new season of TV, and she popped it in, and she really didn't notice a difference. Like going from SD to HD, she didn't notice a huge difference. She was like, oh, this isn't really that, massive of a leap, whatever. Granted, even then, I don't know if it was like 720 or 1080. So we're talking like 480 to maybe 720, maybe 1080, somewhere in there. But broadcast TV, it could be 720. But so she goes and rents the next episode or disc of the season of TV show. And the next time they did have the DVDs in stock, so she just goes back to the DVDs. DVD comes in, she puts it in, she goes, "This looks like garbage. This looks awful."
Yeah.
And she could never go back. And to me, like, that's kind of like what it is sometimes. Like, you don't notice the incremental difference, but you notice when it's not there. And I think that's how I feel with the ProMotion. And you don't really notice it. Like, I'm not sitting there scrolling through Safari and thinking, wow, look how high that frame rate is. But when I go to use like a 12 Pro or something, you notice it feels like more stuttery. It doesn't feel as like connected, that you're not like interfacing directly with the phone. It's not as polished. So I notice it more when I like go to other stuff, and it's just one of those kind of like ineffable things that you don't notice, but you notice at the same time. So I don't think that it's like this huge feature. I don't think it's like, oh, I'm buying the Pro because I have to have ProMotion. Not only that, and we'll talk about this in a moment with the other ways that Apple dropped the ball, there's no apps that support this yet. So it's not like we can find out like or see how this is like affecting games or anything until they're updated. So we're only really seeing this with Apple's stock stuff, scrolling through Safari, swiping through home screens, basic things.
See, because right now, like, Twitter has not been updated to support it, correct?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. And that would be, at least for me, probably one of the more noticeable apps. I did find, like, when I took the iPhone 13 Pro out of the box, set it up, the animations are noticeably smoother. So if you're really looking for the difference, you'll see the difference. Especially if you have not ever used a ProMotion before. Or, like, for me, I've had ProMotion on iPad for however long that's been out, several years. But it's a little different when you have it on your iPad and not on your iPhone. The difference of screen size and use case for the device, it doesn't feel like such a jarring shift. But if you compare it to the iPhone 12 compared to the 13 Pro, you notice it definitely side by side. I do agree we do need to see apps update to support it, like Instagram, Twitter, apps where you're naturally scrolling all the time is when you're going to notice it the most. But it's nice to know that those animations and in Safari, that it definitely feels smoother, and it is contributing to better battery life. Obviously there's bigger batteries in the iPhone. That Apple said battery life has improved across the lineup, but the ProMotion display should help a little bit when it can definitely go down to the lower refresh rates, like 10 hertz or 20 hertz when you're just sitting there reading something on screen kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but when it comes to the setup process, like transferring stuff from the old iPhone to the new, and then some of the bugginess in software, you tweeted this, and I experienced it as well. When I set up my 13 Pro, I did the transfer from old device option. You have either restore from iCloud, your iCloud backup, or transfer device to device. There's pros and cons of both, but the big difference is if you go device to device, it retains your account logins. So it's an encrypted transfer, and you don't have to re-log into every app you open after you open your new 13 Pro or unlock it for the first time. If you do restore from iCloud backup, you have to log into everything, pretty much every app. So there's a little better experience going device to device restoring, but it takes longer. I know for me, it took about 3 hours to transfer from my 12 Pro to my 13 Pro, and the devices are unusable during that time. So you kind of need that block of time if you're going to do device to device. But then the Apple Watch pairing was totally screwed up in this process. It messed up with my device, with my wife's Apple Watch and her iPhone, and then I saw you tweet about it as well. And it's supposed to be a seamless experience where when you unlock the 13 Pro, it says, do you want to use your Apple Watch with this phone now? And it's like, yeah, sure. But two problems with that. One, I didn't rename the phone yet. So when the first notification came up, it was like, do you want to use your Apple Watch with iPhone 12 Pro? And I was like, well, no. But which phone is this actually referring to? And it was actually referring to the 13 Pro. It's just the name and settings general about had not been changed yet. So that was like Sophie's choice. Like I didn't know if that was right or wrong. But then when I did say, yes, I want to use it with this phone, totally didn't pair right. And eventually I had to do this with my watch, and my wife's Apple Watch had to reset and erase all content and settings on the watch directly. I couldn't even do it from a phone because it wasn't talking to either phone then. And I had to erase it locally and then pair it like a new watch with the 13 Pro. Was able to restore from an iCloud backup, so it's not like I lost all my settings, but it didn't retain everything either. Some of my notification settings were off. But what was your experience with the Apple Watch pairing?
Like everything else right now, it was garbage. So I made it more complicated, Stephen. It was me.
Okay.
But so trying to make this short and sweet, so it's not a whole long thing because we have more to talk about. But the way that it started was I got my new phone and I did the device to device transfer. I thought that'd be best. I thought that'd be easiest. Took 8 hours. 8 hours, Stephen, is what it was telling me it was going to take. I have a lot of stuff on my phone, especially I've been testing out the new GoPro Hero 10 black guy here. Yeah, so I've got a bunch of like 4K video and 5K video stored within these apps, which makes the transfer a whole lot longer. So like that night, like I had been recording video and stuff all day. I was going out to pick up my new bike, but I'm like, I need a phone. I don't even know where the heck I'm going. So I grabbed my light pink iPhone 13 mini and stuck my SIM card in and left my iPhone 12 and my iPhone 13s sitting here doing the transfer. So like I run out for the night, come back, transfer finishes. Cool. So I pick up my new iPhone 13 Pro and right away I get the prompt, hey, do you want to use your Apple Watch with your new iPhone? Yeah, absolutely. So I tap yes. My watch starts doing its thing. I get the little loading screen on there and it starts doing the transfer to the new phone, right? And then about a quarter of the way through, it stops. And my phone says, could not transfer this watch to your new iPhone. But that's it. Like, no, like, this is what you should do next. Like, they're literally like, yeah, we couldn't do it. What do I do now? We couldn't do it. But what do I do? Couldn't do it. But what do you mean you couldn't do it?
It's the emoji like, yeah.
Pretty much, shark emoji. So now I'm like, where is my watch connected to? Like, it's still alive. It's still like, is like active. I'm like, is it talking to anything? So I go to like set it up on my new phone. I was thinking about setting it up again, like trying to do like whatever, restore and backup, because I knew that the backup had transferred over just fine. But at the same time, I realized that I could have traded in my old iPhone for like $800 through Apple. And I never do this. I usually just sell on eBay. But the trade-ins this year are so stupid high. I was like, I'm too exhausted with things. I'm just going to do a trade-in this year, not worry about it. One way to do a trade-in is if you rebuy the phone. So I had to buy another iPhone 13 Pro and then set it for pickup the next day. So I'm like, okay, I have to go back out to the Apple store, pick up the new phone, and I'll do the transfer then. So I wiped my new iPhone 13 Pro that I had just done everything on, back to factory to send that one back. And then I took my, I left everything else how it was. I assume my watch is still connected to my old phone because it didn't transfer over, blah, blah, blah. Get my new phone the next day, and I asked them, like, this is what happened. And now it's not seeing my old iPhone 13 or my old iPhone 12 Pro Max. It doesn't see it. My alarm didn't go off in the morning. Like my phone rang. My watch didn't vibrate. So it's like now it can't find my old phone. So I'm like, well, crap. It doesn't talk to my old phone. I don't have a new phone yet. Where's my stuff? Oh, it's fine. Your Apple Watch creates its own iCloud backup on the device. So when you set up your new iPhone, you'll just have to reset your Apple Watch, and then it's going to automatically pull down all your own settings, everything from iCloud. You send it to your phone. You're not going to lose anything, not your move streak, nothing like that. And I was like, oh, cool, that's great. So I go home, I do the transfer. I go through iCloud this time instead of device to device. And I go to sync my watch, and it can't do it. It's like, do you want to sync from an existing Apple Watch? But my watch was not finding it. So I'm like, well, this is borked. So I reset my Apple Watch to factory and go through the pairing process. Failed 5 times during that new pairing process. On the 6th try, after resetting everything, turning off Bluetooth, all that crap, it did manage to see it. I paired it. It restored from the backup the day before. It was now like 8 o'clock at night. And my move ring was at 0. Yesterday, fortunately, because I was doing the transfer like in the evening, the most recent backup was towards the end of the day and I had already met my move goal. But now it was like 8 o'clock at night and I needed to get like 500 calories to complete my move ring.
Did you go out for a run?
I just did some biking and stuff here and I got it. I was so afraid because I'm like, all my day's progress had been lost. Like I had 0 hours of stand goal, 0 hours of exercise, 0 hours of, or minutes of, or 0 calories, whatever, burned.
Right.
So it was just garbage. It was so bad. I was so frustrated. It was so frustrating. It works now, and luckily I did manage to get my calories, so my move ring has extended, or my move streak, but come on.
There's just been weird stuff too, like I saw John Prosser post a video where his Apple Watch was stuck in like sleep nightstand mode, and he had it on his wrist and was trying to like re-rotate and it wasn't moving. And then my wife, for some reason, her music app wanted her to log into her account, which is the iTunes account, which might be different than the iCloud account, and she has different email addresses. Long story. But it like asked her for the password. She put it in, got it wrong. They asked her for security questions. She didn't recognize the security questions, got those wrong, and then she was locked out of the music app for hours. And I had never heard or seen anything like that in the just the music app. Like the rest of the phone was fine. She was able to access everything else. It was just the music app that had locked her out. And it was just strange things happening here and there. And we've had reports on AppleInsider about different bugginess and things like that across iOS 15 and iPadOS 15. So hopefully 15.1 will be coming out soon in the next couple of weeks. Bring SharePlay, some of those features, but fix some of these bugginess issues.
A lot of this seems related just to new iPhones. And what frustrated me and what I wrote about in my Pro Max review is it didn't seem like Apple was ready for these phones. Like really basic things that like weren't working. Like there was a huge number of people who could not get their Apple Watch to unlock their iPhone 13s.
Right.
How was that not like mass tested internally? Or even more basic, Apple's introducing the ProMotion display with this phone. Developers weren't given the required documentation and information to add ProMotion until like the day after the phones came out.
Right.
Why wasn't that not given to them at the announcement so they could update their apps and be ready for day one of the iPhone 13 launch? That is unacceptable to me, and I don't understand why Apple wasn't prepared. That just seems like needlessly dropping the ball. The fact that we were on launch day and we're like, oh, ProMotion, but no one can use it.
They're too busy launching all those Apple TV Plus originals. That's what was going on. Foundation, all that. But yeah, hopefully this bugginess will finish. But overall, cameras are amazing on these new devices. Like I do enjoy the 13 Pro. The camera bump, my goodness, the thing is, at least on, I have the regular Pro, not the Max. That camera bump is big, yo. Like I regularly, when I'm holding my phone, will like feel the bump. I'm like, what is that? Like, oh, right, it's that mountain of cameras on the back of my device. But
I don't know.
It takes great photos.
Yeah, I don't know. It didn't seem like it was a huge upgrade for me. I mean, sorry, like a huge, massive bump for me. Like it's big, but I didn't even like notice it.
Well, the Max phones, I think, is less of a difference because the 12 Pro Max had the sensor shift and already had a bigger bump, I think. But going from 12 Pro regular to 13 Pro, I don't know. It felt bigger. But
yeah, it's definitely a bump up from those ones. And I'm already seeing like odd compatibility issues. Like my wallet, like I have several different MagSafe wallets, but the one I was using recently, like the Moft, which pops out into a little stand at the same time, it like hits the camera bump up there. It needs to be like a tiny bit shorter. Like it's just encroaching into some of those things. Obviously, we had that whole internal discussion on the MagSafe Duo. Everyone was reporting that it didn't work. I'm like, okay, well that's dumb. It of course works. It doesn't lay flat, which is more annoying than anything.
Right. Well, but overall, listeners, we will link to all of the reviews that are going up. Andrew's got videos on all the whole 13 line and the reviews for those. We'll put those in the show notes so you can enjoy them. And we'll talk about some home stuff in a moment. But before we do, we want to thank our friends at Simply Safe. Simply Safe has this big news. Well, there's big news from Simply Safe. It is can't get that right. All right. Our friends at Simply Safe has big news because they just launched their first wireless outdoor security camera. Simply Safe is the system that U.S. News and World Report names the best home security system of 2021, and it just got even better. This brand new outdoor security camera is engineered with all the advanced tech and security features you want and need to help keep you and your family safe. Andrew and I are no stranger to security cameras. It's, I don't know, my house, I have cameras everywhere, inside, outside. I know Andrew's got cameras on his chickens. He's got cameras for his dogs. He's got cameras everywhere. And we know the value of being able to monitor stuff that's going around your house. And the SimpliSafe, the new wireless outdoor camera, has a 140-degree field of view, so you can keep watch over your entire yard. 1080p resolution with an 8x zoom, which means you could zoom in and clearly see things like faces and license plates. It has built-in spotlight and color night vision, so you can keep an eye on what's going on day or night. Has an easy-to-remove rechargeable battery, so you don't need an outlet outside your house. That's pretty cool. It can go anywhere. And this camera has it all, and it integrates with your SimpliSafe home security system, extending its protection to the outside. Together, it means every door, window, and room are protected. To learn more about the exciting new SimpliSafe wireless outdoor security camera, visit simplisafe.com/HomeKit. That's SimpliSafe.com/HomeKit. And what's more, is SimpliSafe is celebrating this new camera by offering 20% off your entire new system and your first month of monitoring service for free when you enroll in interactive monitoring. Again, that's simplisafe.com/HomeKit for 20% off your entire system. Thanks to SimpliSafe for sponsoring this episode. And now, since we're HomeKit Insider, let's talk about some home stuff. You said you've had that smart bed. We talked about it a couple episodes ago. What's been going on with your smart bed?
So this was just funny. And, well, it wasn't funny when it happened, but it's funny now. Sure. I had several nights sleep that were awful, really bad. I could not fall asleep. When I fell asleep, I would wake up several times throughout the night, and I could not figure out why. Because I was dead tired. We've been working like crazy overtime with these new phones. I was so exhausted, and yet I couldn't like fall and stay asleep, and I was really annoyed. And then I remembered I had recently done the review of the bed. And in doing so, I had changed the settings from like the automatic adjust to you everything to just put it onto manual and then slid a bunch of things around to demo how that worked. So it was in like this terribly like uncomfortable position, and I didn't even realize it. And I switched it back to automatic, and I slept like a flipping rock. The next morning, I like slept through my alarm. 40 minutes later, my watch is still vibrating on my wrist saying, "Get your butt up." Like, I was like, I slept that hard throughout that night. And I just thought it was something like, holy crap, like you don't know how much of a difference it makes. And then all of a sudden, like you don't have it, and you're like, I need this. I need it back. So I just thought that was funny. Like I did not remember switching it to manual and just screwing with all the settings. And yeah, that was just preventing me from sleeping. So I'm like, I feel better about this bed. I liked that.
Very good. So we talked about sleep tracking before, and I know the bed that you're using actually has its own app for tracking your sleep or whatever. Have you used any other apps? Because I have one I'm going to recommend, but...
Oh, I've used everything. I've used like the auto sleep thing. I've used Pillow is one of my favorites. I like the Bedit one, which is the one through Apple. I've tried the Withing sleep tracker. I've tried every single one you can find, but whether it's like hardware or just apps for your phone and watch. And I like all of my, like some more than others. I usually use Pillow, but the auto sleep one, which I don't know if that was the one you were thinking of, because that's very popular. The UI for that one just looks a little clunky. Like it's functionally good, but the UI is a little clunky on it. Pillow is like prettier. But yeah, I usually just use like the default sleep tracking on Apple Watch. It does record extra things like your, oxygen and stuff over the night, but I'm mainly just looking for like how long I'm in bed and making sure that I'm actually like asleep and basic stuff like that. So like I don't need anything too fancy. I wish Apple Watch did more. I wish I could just do more with Apple's own native solution.
Yes.
Because it's fairly rudimentary. It doesn't really even give you like your light versus deep versus REM sleep, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's because they don't think it can be accurate enough, so they don't do it, but I wish Apple's was a little more powerful.
So my wife and I started using an app called Sleep Watch, and I'll put a link in the show notes. It's free to use, and then there's like a premium service for like more features. But I like it because it shows you like some pretty detailed graphs about what your sleep looks like. It even shows if you had a good heartbeat dip. I guess like if you sleep deeply, your heart rate goes down. And so it'll actually rate like how deep your heart rate went. And then the little graph there with like red marks or whatever will show you if your sleep was disrupted during the night. And we have found that, whether or not it's tracking light versus deep sleep accurately, knowing if you had like straight interruptions or you were moving a lot in the night is actually a good indicator. If you don't feel very rested the next day, you can look at this graph and say like, oh, well, I actually did have some interruptions that I didn't even realize. Maybe maybe you got up to go to the bathroom, whatever, in the middle of the night. So I do like the Sleepwatch app, and it's free to use. So if listeners would like to start tracking their sleep, and if you wonder like why you don't feel very great the next day, checking your sleep and seeing how you slept, I think is a good metric to see what's up. So yeah, Sleepwatch. I'll put a link to that in show notes.
The UI and the color scheme looks really similar to Auto Sleep.
Okay.
Is what it says on my watch, but I don't know what it says like on my phone. I don't know if it is the same app and they're just putting different names, or if it is a completely different app. Because
it is different.
Because I'm
right
on my phone.
I just found the Auto Sleep app as well.
Okay.
Those look pretty sweet too. I'll put a link to both, and listeners
throw
can
a
tell
pillow
us
in there too. We'll just give everyone lots of choices for sleep tracking.
We won't have time to talk about it today, but I have a pillow cube. Have you ever tried the pillow cube?
I have so many questions.
Okay, we'll save that for next time. I'll put in my notes for next time. We're going to talk about Pillow Cube. This is now a sleep podcast where we're talking about pillows, smart beds, and sleep tracking.
Absolutely.
Pillow Cube. All right, so there's that. I know you had one other thing about HomeKit. Just real quick, I want to update everyone on my coffee grinder, the most important device in my home, because it grinds my coffee beans so I can drink cold brew. And my shortcut that I had set up where whenever I turn on the grinder, it automatically turns off after 2 minutes. I've been paranoid because I'm like, if that thing overruns, it's going to clog up. And so I always go back to check it. But I'll say I've set that up, I don't know, a couple months ago, still solid. Every time I turn on the grinder, either with Siri or on my phone with the little control center icon, it turns off after 2 minutes, and it has not messed up yet. So whatever I said about wait commands before, it seems like they're improved. That one is actually still staying consistent. I just used it last night again. So try it. If you have a device where you want it to turn on, or whenever you turn it on, it turns off after a certain amount of time, creating an automated shortcut where a device state is the trigger, using the wait command. Mine is 120 seconds, and then you can turn that device off in that automation. It's been working great for me. So thumbs up on that. But tell me, what has HomeKit been doing on your end, Andrew? You said it's been weird.
By the way, don't forget that we also have those new kind of wait commands with iOS 15 and such, like where you can say, like, turn on the coffee maker for 5 minutes, and then it'll turn back off. So we've got, like, fun things like that. Oh, I've got a kitty. Okay. Anyway, so HomeKit, I don't know if this was related to, like, my phone transfer or what, but the other night, I'm in my bed, and I go to tell Siri to turn off the bedroom lights. Usually I have a button by my bedside, but cuddling with a cat. So I was just like, Siri, turn off the bedroom lights. And I sit there and wait. And Siri's like, yeah, I don't see anything like that in your home. I'm like, okay, I'll rephrase it for you. Siri, turn off the lights in the bedroom. Like maybe it thought there was a bedroom light and I needed to be more specific of lights in the bedroom. Because that happens in my studio. Tell Siri to turn off the studio lights, and she's like, okay, I turned off the studio light. I'm like, no, all of them, plural. But, so I was trying to be more specific. Lights in the bedroom. And Siri's like, I don't see anything like that in your home. I'm like, are you drunk? What is going on? So I open up the Home app. This is so laborious at this point. This is the part where, like, smart home stuff really gets annoying. So I open up the Home app, and I go and I'm looking through my rooms. I'm like, there's no bedroom. There's no bedroom room.
What?
Nope.
That's weird.
And I'm like, did it like somehow remove the room? And everything's in like the default room now. So I go to like the default room that's always listed. And Nope. Nothing in there. And I look through the list. There are 2 guest bedrooms.
Okay. Weird.
Somehow, Siri, HomeKit, something, renamed bedroom into guest bedroom, which I also don't think is allowed in HomeKit. You can't name two rooms the exact same thing.
Right.
But bedroom had become guest bedroom.
That's strange.
And then there was a second guest bedroom with all different accessories inside of it.
Okay. That's strange. So were we able to switch it back?
Yeah.
Or rename it?
Yep. That was it. I mean, that was an easy fix. But what happened?
So weird.
Like, how? I just, like, what? Like, no one did this. It's just me and my wife in my house, and she does not mess with the home app, let alone trying to rename a room. So she didn't do anything. The only weird thing that happened was I migrated my phone over, and I don't know if something hinky happened there. But seriously, like, what is that? Like, what a weird thing to happen.
It's been weird because even when I repaired my Apple Watch with the 13 Pro, after having to reset it and repair it, I went up to do like a Siri home command, and it said, you have no devices set up. To set up devices, go on your phone. I was like, what? What are you talking about? And apparently on my Apple Watch, I had to go to the home app on my Apple Watch, open the home app, and let it talk to my phone for a second, I guess, to like communicate that I actually have a home. And then the Apple Watch Siri started working again. And I was like, just so weird and buggy. But if you're having issues, listeners, like that, I don't know. I guess just wait for 15.1 and watchOS 8.1 all to come out, because there's just been a bunch of stuff going on. So it'll get better. Things are gonna get easier. I'm gonna sing now on every episode. I'm gonna try and make that up.
Steven, we're hemorrhaging subscribers. I can see them in real time. They've dropped off. They're going. It's off a cliff.
They're coming for it. They're inviting their friends.
Nope.
Well, listen, listeners, because of technical difficulties, that's the episode for today. We got to wrap it up. But send in your listener questions. Tweet at Andrew and myself. If you have questions about iPhone 13, iPad mini, HomeKit products. We actually had a big question from Willie on Twitter that maybe we can get to next time. He has just bought a new house and was basically asking for, like, tell me all the good devices to get. And it's like, well, we have 69 episodes in the archive, about all that.
What a broad question.
So maybe we'll talk about that.
It's
a fair question. It's a fair question. So I thought maybe on an episode coming soon, we could talk about, like, again, go down the list of what light switch, plug, dimmer, cameras, doorbells, all that kind of stuff we like right now at the end of 2021, maybe like a best HomeKit devices for the year kind of episode. So let us know if you'd be interested in that, listeners. You can tweet at Andrew and myself. Those Twitter handles are in the show notes. Don't forget to give us a 5-star rating and review in Apple Podcasts. We'd greatly appreciate that. Subscribe to the HomeKit Insider YouTube channel. You can watch Andrew. Andrew's video might look amazing today. Cinematic mode.
Yeah, look at that. We're handheld right now. Can walk around the studio talking to you folks. This is how all videos are going to be. I'm a blogger now, right now. This is how it's done. They hold the tripod while talking directly to camera. You can see my computer is still thinking, not doing things.
Wow.
Not doing anything useful, folks. Just sitting.
Well, if you want to see cinematic mode in action for an entire HomeKit Insider episode, go to our YouTube channel. That link is in the show notes as well. You can subscribe there, and send us your stuff. We love you guys. Appreciate you, and peace out. Yeah, this whole episode's so thrown off by this computer, man. I don't even know what's happening anymore.
Don't even know how to wrap an episode anymore. Just stop it. Know. That's it.
I'm just gonna let the music come in slowly and fade us out as we're talking. Okay, goodbye.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap. Oh man.